Okay. So if you see the researchers studying how genes control animal behavior have had to deal with many uncertainties. So there were a lot of uncertainties, skepticisms and doubts
Yeah,
during that study. In the first
correct.
place, most behaviors are governed by more than one gene. And until recently, geneticists had no method for identifying the multiple genes involved. So what is this? How is this second line related to the first sentence? How is this second sentence related to the first sentence?
So basically, there's first saying that the researchers who
How is it
study.
related? How is it related? I don't want the content or the information or the detail that's there. That's already written. I can read that. In the first place, most behaviors, etc. I got that. But my idea or my question is that how is this related to this? In what way?
So because they're researching on like genetics and genes, so how like in what ways have they researched and like they basically I say adding to what they previously said, they're saying until recently they weren't able to identify multiple genes that were involved in a particular behavior.
Let me tell you. So if you look at this sentence and if you look at the first sentence mentions very clearly and categorically that researchers studying how genes control animal behavior had to undergo or had to suffer from a lot of uncertainties. There were a lot of uncertainties, doubts, and skepticisms that the researchers were faced with. Right now, if we move on to the second sentence, in the first place, most behaviors, blah blah blah. When I ask you, or when you yourself have to reason that how is the second sentence related to the first sentence? The second sentence is nothing but talking about one uncertainty, right? One uncertainty. So that's the relationship. Did you get it? So when I say you, how is this related to this? So either this could have been an evidence, this could have been an explanation, this could have been a contradictory point, this could have been an argument, but here this second sentence is nothing but talking about the first uncertainty. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
You get, so write that just beside, first uncertainty. And what was the uncertainty? The uncertainty was that the geneticists had no method for identifying the multiple genes involved. So this detailed has to be your reading and your understanding of GMAT-RC passages. Could I make it clear?
Yeah.
And that is why, this exam is known as verbal reasoning. See, we are reasoning. We are not focusing on the content much. When we are skimming through the entire GMAT-RC passage, when we are, trying to have a general idea of the entire passage, we are not trying to, take a microscope and work on every word, on every sentence, on every line, content-wise.
Right.
Rather, we are trying to combine the meaning. So the second sentence, how is it worth reading or how is it helping me in understanding the whole idea of the passage? This is one of the uncertainties that the researcher talks about in the first sentence. Is that clear?
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
Great. Moving on to the second sentence. In addition, even when a single gene is found to control a behavior, researchers in different fields do not necessarily agree that it is a behavioral gene. So again, this is a second concern, the second uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So write it beside. This is a second uncertainty.
Okay.
So are you seeing how beautifully, we are trying to understand the purpose of each sentence rather than only focusing and emphasizing on the details that is given?
Yeah.
Yes, this is the first global technique and the most important global technique when you're skimming through the entire RC passage in your GMAT. Very important. Okay, we are not looking for details when we are doing that in the first place. We are just trying to do it to know the purpose of every sentence and to have a general idea of the entire passage. That's all. Okay. All right. Let's see. Then you have neuroscientists whose interest in genetic research is to understand the nervous system, which generates behavior. Define the term broadly. What do you mean by this? Or how is this helping you?
So this is another uncertainty because you can't narrow down a particular gene and you know
That's what the
how
sentence talks about.
it.
Is
Sorry.
that Is that what this sentence, the purpose of this sentence? Neuroscientists whose interest in genetic research is to understand the nervous system, define the term broadly. They are defining the term broadly. So there's a broad definition. There's a more inclusive definition that you have for the nervous system. And then they say but. So but is a contrasting linker or a contradicting linker. So probably whatever you are reading after but and before but should be contrasting. Yes.
Yeah.
So ethologists, specialists in animal behavior, are interested in evolution. So they define the term narrowly. So there's a contrast. Neuroscientists are doing something very broadly. They are defining the term broadly. They are giving a broad definition. But the ethologists, who are specialists in animal behavior, they are basically, doing it in a very narrow way. So how are these two sentences connected? How are the
They're
idea
talking
between
types of people who are trying to identify their ways of finding behavioral change.
But how are these two connected? Or rather, if I can say from here to here, like these two, how are these two connected? They are contradicting, right? It is talking about two different sections of researchers or two different streams of researchers. One stream is giving a broad definition and the other stream is just doing exactly the opposite. So write that. Okay. Put a bracket, maybe put these two in the bracket and write that this set of ideas is conveying this. Okay, got it? All right.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next sentence that says they insist that mutations in a behavioral gene must alter a specific normal behavior. Okay, they insist that mutations in a behavioral gene must alter a specific normal behavior and not merely make the organism ill. So that the genetically induced behavioral change will provide variation that natural selection can act upon, possibly leading to the evolution of new species. Now, this is insisted by whom? I mean, when they say they, who is this they referring to? Who is this pronoun referring to? Is it the ethologist or is it the neuroscientist?
The ethologists.
Basically referring to the ethologists, right? Lovely. So if it is referring to the ethologist, what exactly is the purpose of this line or this sentence? What should be the purpose of this line or sentence?
They're basically adding more evidence to what they
Yeah, they are explaining. They are basically explaining. So when they have given an idea over here that the ethologists are interested in evolution, so they define the term narrowly, and then they are basically extending or explaining on that. Clear? Okay, lovely. Moving on to this. For example, in the fruit fly, researchers have identified the gene shaker mutations in which cause flies to shake violently under anesthesia. This is an example. Evidence to this, right? Evidence to this. Yes?
Yes.
Right there. Evidence to this. So this is known as reasoning. This is why this verbal is known as reasoning. So RC passages in GMAT is not only about reading and understanding, it is about reasoning the different parts. Why is this set of idea, how is this third set of idea related to the second set of idea? How is the second set of idea related to the first set of idea? So we are focusing and emphasizing more on the flow of ideas rather than emphasizing on every detail. Okay? All right. Since shaking is not healthy, ethologists do not consider shaker a behavioral gene. Got it? So in contrast, again a contrasting linker, ethologists do consider the gene period, which controls the fruit fly circadian rhythm, a behavioral gene, because flies with mutated per genes are healthy, they simply have different rhythms. Right? So again, if you look at this from here to here, for example, to rhythms, it is basically talking about the evidences of supporting the ethologist's point of view regarding animal behavior. I mean, relating animal behavior to the genes or the genetic science. Clear?
Okay.
Yes? Got it,
Yes.
right? Yes.
Yeah.
So a very important thing that you have to understand when you're going through the RC passages right at the first time, that we are not trying to focus or emphasize much on the detail or much on the words, because sometimes, you know, you would not even know the meaning of certain words, and that would drive you crazy. You'll be like, oh God, I don't know, I don't know the meaning of the words. How would I even, you know, understand what is there in the passage? No, we are reading the entire passage quickly just to have a general understanding of the passage. We don't even need to focus on every detail and every word when we are reading it for the first time. Clear?
Okay.
Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
So we start working on the questions.